Today's Thursday Thought is a discussion about a bigger budget actually making a better project, or does it really just make a safer one? Because over the last 20 years, I've had the opportunity to work in both capacities projects with hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions, projects with next to nothing. And yeah, on paper, those big budgets are impressive. I remember there's one time I'm directing something and I was in charge of literally an entire football stadium of people. And I remember a PA just hands me a megaphone, slaps it in my chest, and goes, "They're all yours." And as I looked out to a sea of actors literally filling an entire major Division I college football stadium, I thought to myself, holy shit, you've made it. This is it. Look how many people you're responsible for. Look how big this production is. Look how many crew members there are. And it did feel like a validation of success. There's another time that comes to mind where I'm doing a television show and I just make some offhand comment about my legs hurting. And then within 2 seconds, a PA is nudging a director's chair behind me, almost as if I just voiced it into being. And you know what? It was nice, but it was still weird because these big productions that come with all of these frills where everything is taken care of, everything is easier, there's 10 more people than you need, everything is comfortable. But there's one thing that really no one ever talks about, that it doesn't really lead to a better creative result. In fact, in my opinion, from my own personal experience, a lot of times I find that it does the opposite. Having too much does not mean you're going to create something good. Because when you have everything, you don't have anything to fight for. There's always a solution, there's always a resource, always another way to throw money at a problem. And when that happens, you kind of start thinking differently. You stop being scrappy. You stop being forced to figure things out. And what I have found is this: smaller crews, smaller budgets, they create pressure, they create limitation. And limitations often force good creativity. You have to think outside of the box. You have to problem solve. You have to get creative just to make it work. If you look at a lot of celebrated directors, their first films is where they really grabbed people's attention and where they've done their best work because no one trusted them yet. No one gave them everything. They had to earn it. They had to grind. They had something to prove. And then the budgets get bigger. And as the resources increase, sometimes that edge starts to fade. Not always, but often. Because when you have access to everything, it almost becomes too easy. And when it's too easy, you're not pushing the same way. You're not searching the same way. And you know what? This also makes me think about where everything seems to be heading with AI. You can create anything, create everything, fix anything instantly. And at some point, it's going to get boring. Because part of what makes this work meaningful is the challenge. It's the problem solving. It's the figuring it out. Take that away, and what are you left with? And I've experienced that on a personal level too. There was a time I landed a huge set of commercials, the most money I had ever made in my life. As a company, it was a milestone, a goal, something I had been chasing for years. And when it happened, it did feel good, but only for a minute. And then it kind of felt empty because I realized I didn't have anything left to fight for. The edge, that hunger, that thing that was pushing me forward, it softened. And then that was a really weird feeling to experience. So yeah, big budgets are great. Everyone wants them. They open doors, they create opportunities, but they don't guarantee better work. Sometimes they just make things safer, and safe doesn't always have its place with great art. Sometimes the best work comes from having less and being forced to do more with it.